Black Talk Radio Network is made possible in part with help from the Black Talk Media Project, a North Carolina-based nonprofit engaged in the production and distribution of independent digital black media. Find out more by going to blacktalkradionetwork.com or blacktalkmediaproject.org and look for the menu tab, Crowdfunding Black Media. Black Talk Media Project, helping to provide you with new black media for the new millennium. And opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Blacks in Business Radio. We are here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time till 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. These shows, we strive to empower the entrepreneur of today, yesterday, and forever. So I believe I have my co-host with us here. Are you there, Robert?
Yes. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you extremely clearly. How are you today?
Oh, man, blacktastic, as they say.
Blacktastic. Well, that's a wonderful way to be. So today we are going to continue our conversation that we had last week about trademarks and patents. And today we are speaking to one of my Facebook friends, and she has the ability to talk to us about her experience in trademarks and patents and also about her business. I believe she's an artist. Her name is Erika Parker-Smith. So we're excited to bring her on today. But before we do that, tell me, what was one of your biggest takeaways from the show that we did with the attorney, Miss Connie, last time?
I actually took some notes, just clearing up the whole idea of the different, when you see a trademark or a name of a logo or whatever, and you see the R, the TM, and the SM, you want to know exactly what those mean. And in my notes, when you see a logo with that R in it, it's a federally registered trademark, and the common law trademark is the one that you see with the TM in it. And learning the difference, the SM is like for services and, radio type of shows. But you definitely need to know the difference in the different trade shows and the intellectual properties, what that truly is, and how to trademark those things. So, when you in business, we create our business names and logos, and we post those things on Facebook and on our business cards, and some even on T-shirts and hats. And we take for granted what we're exposing ourselves to. So that was definitely a very enlightening show, and I'm pretty sure this one here is going to be the same way.
Well, I don't doubt that either. I mean, all of our shows are, built to empower our people. And as I spoke of before, as we're teaching, we're also learning, which is important because we are entrepreneurs and we also have to be gathering this information for ourselves. So what was I going to say about that experience? I mean, everybody should be seeking professional help. You know, a lot of people offer free consultation. I mean, jump on that. If you have questions in your business, which you should, I don't know anybody who doesn't have questions in their business. You could have been around for 50,000 years. You could have a business that was passed down. Well, because the trends change, times change, you should always have questions about your business, and you should always be seeking professional help. So that is what we're here to do. We're here to offer that professional help to you by way of interviewing those professionals that are well-versed in the information. So with that being said, we're going to invite our first guest on. And as I said before, she is an artist, and we want to know what it is that she's doing and what information she has for us on Trademark. Okay, so let's let her on. All right. Hello, who do we have on the line with us?
Hi, this is Erika Parker-Smith, also known as Erika Foxy Mama, with Focsi, with the Focsi brand.
All right. Now, what is the Focsi brand?
So the Focsi brand is basically artfully crafted home decor. So what we sum it up as is basically natural hair art for your body and your home.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, give us an example of what that might look like. I know we have to just kind of imagine because this is radio.
Yeah. Right. So basically, a lot of our artwork features women that have large afros. Some of them have locks. Some of them have teeny-weeny afros or short hair, bald heads, all brown skin, beautiful women. So, yeah, and just bringing together the eclectic nature of the African diaspora around the world.
Okay. Well, tell me, how did you come up with this concept?
This concept came about 10 years ago. I was looking for some particular T-shirts, and I couldn't find them. And so my business partner, who is now also my husband, I went to him, and I said, look, I'm looking for these T-shirts. Do you know anywhere that I could get them, since he was an artist, and we were friends at the time? And he was like, no. He was like, nobody's doing that, not in the way that you're describing. And this was before, like the natural hair was a movement. And so there wasn't the bevy of products that are currently available, especially like on T-shirts and things like that. So I was like, you know what, fine, nobody's doing it, then we're going to do it. And I asked him would he partner with me to make that a reality. And then here we are 10 years later. So
10 years later.
Yes.
That's a big deal, because 10 years ago, my goodness, the natural hair movement was probably just getting started, I think. Is that when it started, about 10 years ago? Yeah, because I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Even today, I mean, there is, like you said, a bevy of products. There's so many products, so much information on natural hair. If I was walking out of Relaxer, I would be so confused right now. And you still see that today because there's so much information, but you have to know, you have to have like a starting point. Like what ingredients should you be looking for in natural hair products, and then how do you uplift yourself with natural hair art, and that's where you come in.
Right.
So do you all have a storefront, or are you operating online?
Well, right now we are online, and we're actually working right now to put some things in place to have Focsi merchandise and products in stores. So that is our big push for the coming year. So we are laying the groundwork for that to happen now. Okay.
Well, I think that is a great idea to have that in place, or to have your items in place in different stores, little specialty boutiques or black stores. Now, where are you located?
We are actually, right now, we are based out of Durham, North Carolina, by way of the DMV area. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, that's wonderful. I love North Carolina. I didn't go to Durham. I was in Greensboro, last year at the Dudley convention. You know of Mr. Dudley, of course. Okay, yes, Dudley, yes, they have awesome products.
Yes, they have awesome products, and they have a gala every single year, and it's to commemorate the Dudley products and the brand, and also his mentor, Mr. Neely Fuller. I mean, it's a fabulous event. I have to get all footage and things and send them to you. There's actually a book out and everything. I mean, it's a grand event, absolutely grand. Let's see. Okay. something's weird with the line, but we're going to keep talking. So tell us, what is your experience in the patent and trademark industry? What's been going on with you in that area?
So our experience has been really centered around copyright. And a lot of times it seems that, because having a T-shirt business is very popular right now, and there is a ton of information on where to get artwork for your T-shirts. So a lot of people will go, or not even just T-shirts, just other products that people may want to offer with artwork on it that features women with natural hair, especially afros. It's really popular. And so people tend to go and do a Google search. And they put in, Black woman with afro. And all of these images will come up, and people will think that, oh, well, this is on a clip art site, or this is on a site that says they have free stock imagery. And so, therefore, because I'm getting it from this website that says it's free, then it must be free. And a lot of times they don't realize that, no, those images aren't free. People have created bots that go around the Internet, and they comb for images, and then they collect them all and put them on these sites. And so, and so people will think, well, then I didn't do anything wrong because the site that I got it from said it is free. And it's like, no, that's not how copyright works. And then it comes to something that you all said in the intro with, the copyright being registered instead of just being a common law copyright. So a lot of people don't realize that when you're talking about creative works, it's copywritten the minute that you create it. Whether you file it, formally or not. But the kicker is that even if you file it, you still have to be the person to police it and enforce your copyright.
Wow.
So that's kind of so that's why I started the group on Facebook, the League of Extraordinary Creatives, to kind of talk about these issues and educate people not only on what copyright is, but then also how to, protect themselves, whether you register your copyright or not. It's your work. Nobody has the right to just take your work, and use it without your permission, and what to do in those cases.
Right. Well, that's great information to know. So as soon as you have created it, it's actually copywritten?
Yes. Especially artwork. It's can you imagine somebody paints all the time and they're taking pictures. Now some people do. They file their stuff away in collections and they do bulk copyrights, which the Patent and Trade Office does allow you to do digitally. And we also, there's a link also in that Facebook group that tells people how to prepare their work to do bulk copyrights. And then there's also a service that is good for photographers, graphic designers, other people that create visual assets that will actually file your copyright for you. And then also they have an algorithm that will go out to the Internet and collate all the links and collect all the sites that feature your artwork so that you can go through them, and then they know who to go and pursue for copyright infringement.
Wow. What do you call that? Visual something you said. Visual what?
Visual assets.
Visual assets.
Yes. So any type of work, whether it's a painting, sketches, drawings, you all talked about logos, those things really are, it's like I said, as soon as it's created, that's that artist's work, and a lot of times people, when you're buying things from graphic designers, that's another conversation to have. Are they retaining the copyright? Are they giving it to you? Are they going to put that in writing? How does that all work? Is there a fee? And it varies from business to business. And then also asking the graphic designer where they're getting their artwork from. Are they creating it? Or are they using clip art? Are they buying things, to use, such as templates? And these are just really things to, that people don't necessarily know to ask, because these days anybody with a computer or a laptop in Photoshop calls themselves a graphic designer. Right. So really getting down to the nitty-gritty of being okay, are you an illustrator? In the case of my business partner, Jamual Smith, he is an actual illustrator, by trade. He has a degree in illustration. He can draw things from scratch. He knows how to do things, pencil and paper, pen and paper, paint, charcoal. He also does things digitally. So he has those skills to be able to really create something original and unique for people, and it's not canned. And even, you know, if sometimes somebody comes to him with something, it's like, okay, yeah, I can take what you're giving me and still turn that into something else.
Wow. Well, you know, it's so tricky, and I get tripped on the most menial things. I mean, I guess everybody might have this issue, but for me, I've been trying to create a logo for God knows how long. Now, not me created, but I finally bit the bullet and decided to go with Fiverr. Now, I went with Fiverr one time, and it turned out okay. I mean, I was willing to accept what the young lady did. It was fine. But this last time, oh, my gosh, okay, I paid the money, and the person created the logo, but I never received the, whatever you call it, the PDF or whatever it is, the format. They never sent it to me. Fiverr never did anything about it. And I just kind of dropped the ball on it because then I'm confused because I have 2 different Fiverr accounts. I'm like, where is this stuff at? Same thing happened. I bit the bullet again, went ahead and had somebody create it. Oh, wait, no. The first time, this is what happened. The guy actually was from somewhere else. You know how that goes. They're from somewhere else. And he went on one of those free sites and acted like he created the logo. And I'm like, no, I've already been on that site, and that logo came from that site. You did not create it. And he was trying to tell me that he did.
We had that happen so many times where somebody will say, well, we hired a graphic designer. And I'm like, but that's our work. And we actually hid some things in our work that we don't tell people. So it's like, okay, it's quite obvious. Like, if you know us, you know our business. And for some people that have been fans from the beginning, that have followed our business from the beginning, they recognize it. You know what I mean? Immediately. Because we used to do it in all our work. And so a couple of things about the story that you told, a little, like, word of advice for people. If you're getting something created from a graphic designer, especially something like a logo, your final file format should not be a PDF. They should be sending you, it should be a high-resolution JPEG file, or it should be a PNG file. It should be some sort of high-resolution vector file. That's what it should be. Yeah. It should be in some sort of format that you can blow it up to a billboard size. You can shrink it down to the size of a business card, and no matter what, it retains its quality and it looks fantastic across multiple mediums. And so that is something, that's why I give people a word of caution when they go to Fiverr, because it's like, okay, hello, it's $5. How much time and energy and effort do you think somebody is going to invest in doing a logo for you for $5?
$5 worth.
You know? So, yeah, so it's like a lot of times they are going to just go grab some clip art. So it's like, yeah, they did this logo for you, but then 100 other people, you know, also share that same logo with a different name on it in a different color.
Oh, my God.
And so, and people recommend Fiverr all the time to people. And it's just like, okay, so we're all in these businesses to make money, correct? No matter what business it is, whether you want to say you want to help people, you still want to make money. So it's like, you know, there are things that you should invest time and money into, because your logo and your branding are things that speak for you when you're not there. So it's like, if you spend $5, is that the perception that you want to give to people about your business and who you are?
Absolutely not. My goodness. That's crazy.
So
well, I mean, what you're saying is
making
sense.
And not to necessarily plug our business, but it's just because we do logos and graphic design and things like that for people as well. But then we also take it one step further, that with our clients, we really do take the time to share information, everything that we've learned over the last 10 years, and kind of help people to not make those same missteps and lose out on money and, you know, just try to avoid the pitfalls that we fell into early on.
Well, I definitely need to reach out to you, because if you're doing logo creation, I didn't know that. I just knew, I thought you were an unassisted birth person, because we're on that Facebook page together talking about the unassisted births and that kind of thing.
I can speak to that too.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, do it.
Okay, so I'm in that group because I had never had a baby at a hospital. So I've had 3 out-of-hospital births. 1 was at a birth center and 2 home births. They haven't been unassisted, but then I'm also starting, either later in the year or early in 2018, a childbirth education business. So I will also be doing that because that's like another passion of mine, really, especially within our community. Because infant mortality rates and maternal mortality rates are so high, and just getting that information out there to people, and also having materials for other people who do birth work. So,
did you see that video that I put out there talking about the high infant mortality rate? There's a video. I don't even know where it is now. I thought I saved it, but it was a good little documentary talking about that and just about having the babies at home and that kind of thing. Oh, it was so good.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes, that is awesome. And it's so, when you get into the history of it, of just childbirth and childbirth education and hospital births versus midwifery and those types of things, it gets really, really interesting. So,
it does, and it's so tragic. It's so tragic. I know we have deviated from logo, but if this is your business, we can definitely talk about it. So, like me, I have 4 children, okay? Now, they were all born, they're old now, but they were all born in hospitals. They were all born in hospitals, and it's like every single experience was extremely unique. I mean, when I tell you that, it's just crazy. My first son, I remember, you know, I was in labor or whatever, but it wasn't a big production. I was like, oh, okay, time to go to the hospital. And I had him. But when I think about what I had to endure due to, quote, hospital regulation and just what they do, the experience could have been much better. I'm going to fast forward to my last child. Now, with her, I was pretty much getting in the know of just owning my own body, you know, because when you're in that hospital bed and you're there and you're laying on your back, you feel, I mean, because you're at the mercy of all these doctors and these, quote, professionals around you. I mean, first of all, you're laying on your back having a baby. That defies gravity. People don't realize that. You know, we just get caught up in this system of they know what's best for us when really, they know also how to kill you, and that's what they're trying to do. But fast forward to my last birth, I had a doula, and she was excellent. I mean, she told me, she said, look, if you don't want an IV, they don't need to put an IV in you. Trust and believe. If they need to put an IV in you because something's wrong, they can get it in you. If you don't want an IV, that's not going to happen. I mean, she came and mandated that whole situation when that baby was being born. And it was excellent. Now, the middle two, let's see. These middle two, they are truly acting middle two, really. I mean, even the birthing experience was middle two. But my daughter, my oldest daughter, I mean, I had her early because I told my OBGYN, I was young, I was 19. I was like, oh, I'm just so tired of being pregnant. This is just getting old. Now, I mean, many pregnant women say that because you've been pregnant for about 10 months. So, of course, like, people feel that way. This man told me, okay, just meet me at the hospital on Monday and we'll have the baby. And I'm thinking, what? Okay, I can have the baby on Monday? Let's do this. And so that's exactly what happened. We went to the hospital, and they induced me with the Pitocin, and that was the worst experience of my life. There was nothing gradual about it. The baby was coming. You're not going to stop it. And by the time they got to what they were trying to do, you weren't getting no epidural. I never had an epidural, but when it got down to that pain, I was like, please do something. And they're like, it's too late. And that baby was born, in my opinion, now that I know what I know, way too early. And it has reflected on her whole life that she was born too early. And, it really has. I mean, she doesn't have any physical deformities or anything like that, but she was not ready to come out. And that, I mean, for instance, when she wore glasses when she was 1. Oh, wow. And I just think that really played a part on her development. And it's just, you know, us people, don't know to focus on these things. Like, what are these people telling you? Is this really valuable to you or to them?
Something that is really, within our community, and I don't know if you saw in one of the other unassisted groups for Black families, that there was a debate around childbirth education classes.
Mm.
And people's sentiment was that, people can just get in Facebook groups like this, people can go to Google, and people can pray their way to healthy birth outcomes.
No.
And that it's ridiculous to insist that women take a birth education class. And I was just like, okay, but there's also a lot of information on the internet that will have you thinking that, because you're pregnant, you're going to have like Ebola, polio, and die of a paper cut.
Exactly.
And it's like just ridiculous stuff. And then some of the advice that people give, it's like it's not evidence-based. They're given advice based on their own personal experience. And it's like, I'm glad that, like, you're healthy, your baby's healthy, nothing traumatic happened to you, but that's not the case across the board. And sometimes people just don't even know what all their options are. They don't know what to ask the doctor. They don't.
But this is the thing. It looks like nothing's wrong right now, but depending on what was done to you later on, whatever they did is showing up at age 7, 6, whenever. 10 months, you don't know. I mean, they're doing all these vaccinations and shots, and they gave you shots, and you did the epidural. Now, all of a sudden, you can't walk, and you don't know why, and they're not even attributing that to what happened. I mean, it's ridiculous. Of course, you need education. I mean, what I find
know what to look for.
Yes. The things that are most important in life, they try to say you don't need education for, or you need minimal education. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Of course you need birth education. You need to know what to expect. You need to know that you hold the power in how this is going to go down. But they don't teach you that.
Right. Or better yet, like the baby. You know what I mean? It's something that as women, just that whole labor process, it's like you have to really submit to that.
Oh, my God.
And I know there's this whole thing around submission and everything, but, I mean, really just submitting yourself to that process, the natural process of it, and just like, it's going to be what it's going to be. And that shift in mindset alone changes how things go. It's like if you're going in because you're afraid, because you haven't taken the class, because you haven't really surrounded yourself with information that's empowering, information that's uplifting, information that's positive, and if all you've heard from your mom, your sisters, your aunts, your cousins, your girlfriends, co-workers, strangers, if everybody's giving you this traumatic story and you don't once hear that somebody had a birth that was peaceful, that, was a pleasant experience, that yes, there's some discomfort, or even people that have had like pregnancy, that went through and it wasn't uncomfortable for them, that it was really easy. Like when people ask me about it, I'm like, they were like, well, how did you do that? Like, how could you not have an epidural? And I was like,
right.
It's just a state of mind. It's like, it's almost like preparing for a marathon. I was like, would you sign up for a marathon and then never run, not a mile? Or would you spend the time preparing yourself for the marathon? I was like, having a baby, I was like, sometimes, yes, there are emergencies and things happen. And that is just an unfortunate reality of being pregnant and having a baby. Like, bad things happen, and it doesn't matter whether you have your baby at home or the hospital.
Right.
Things happen.
Exactly. Things happen. Things definitely happen.
So, but we can prepare and be as prepared as we can for these things.
And you
and women should know they have options. Right.
Yep.
Women should know they have options too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking with someone else, and she was saying it's crazy because you don't know that you don't know. And that alone is enough to just put you in a place of just, I don't know what the word is, but I mean, that I remember when I had my first son, I didn't know that you could have your baby at a birthing center. I did have education, but the education was geared toward the hospital stuff, So if you don't know that you should be seeking out alternative education to make the best decision for you, then you're just kind of stuck. and you're going to the hospital.
For me, I knew when I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, she's 7, that I did not want to go to the hospital. But I didn't know, like, okay, I don't want to go to the hospital, but what's the alternative? And I remember I made a phone call to one lady who was like a holistic health practitioner. Her sister is also her assistant. She answers the phone. And, I mean, I was almost in tears because I had been looking. And I'm like, I don't know where to look. I don't know what it's called. Like, all this stuff. And I tell her what I wanted. And this lovely woman is like, oh, we'll call this place. And then she also gave me referrals for some doulas, gave me the names of some midwives, and was like, this is where you start looking.
Speaking, you'll find.
Life-saving.
Yes. That is
and I was just
excellent.
Like, oh my, I was like, so I'm not crazy. Thank you. So that led down this path that I'm currently on with, wanting to do childbirth education. And like I said, my oldest daughter is 7, so my children are 7, 5, and 1. And my husband was very supportive, and just because he took all the birth classes with me, and we've had these discussions. And he was just like, look, I'm not the one that has to do this. He was like, I wish I could help you out. He was like, but we have to do what you feel is best for you,
right,
and our child,
right. So that's good.
Yeah,
that's
good. That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, I mean, you can't emphasize that enough. I mean, you have an awesome partner or spouse with you there. And when I say partner, I'm talking about a man, because I do not promote that other stuff at all. I'm talking about your awesome spouse, whether it be your husband or your significant other, but it is a man. Yes.
Right. And let me not forget my mom, because my mom, who totally thought I was nutty when I first was like, yeah, I'm not going to have the baby at the hospital. She's like, you're what? And she went to a couple classes with me, and she talked to the midwives and the doula. And she's like, okay, this is weird, but that's you. Like, you've been like this your whole life. This is not a surprise. And she thought that she said it was so different, from when she had my sister and I. And it was just a completely different experience. So this time, with my son, she wasn't able to make it when we had our son. But she was just like, yeah, I don't think I could have done it again, Erika. She's like, twice was enough with you, She's like, once at the birth center and once at home, and she's like, I don't know if I could have really handled it this last time. And I was like, Mom, it was so quick, like literally. So, yeah.
Now, did you have a water birth?
I did. The second and third times I did have a water birth. Yes.
Okay.
And I love it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you videoed it and everything?
No, I'm not one of those. I do not want to see photos. Like, I do have pictures. I do not have video. And I'm just one of those people that, even with our children, like, people are like, oh, y'all didn't take pictures. Why didn't y'all get pictures? Y'all didn't take a video of that. And we're just like, we're living in the moment. We're not thinking, well, let me pull out my phone. You know what I mean? Right. And post it on social
set up
media.
the tripod. Yeah.
Right. I was like, no, we're not.
I don't know. I think I would have a whole production team there, being who I am today. Like, before, I didn't want pictures in the hospital. It's like, there's amazing that there's any pictures, but today I'd be like, okay, call the news. Okay, everybody should be here and watch this. I mean, it might not be pretty, but at least we'll have it on film. But I don't know. But so tell us now, what are your plans moving forward in this part of the education?
This part of the education, I just really, we decided on a name. I'm waiting on my husband, the wonderful graphic artist that he is, to complete the logo before we actually put it out there. But I'm going through to be certified now to actually teach childbirth education. So I really want to do that. And then an additional service that I would like to also do with it is because so many people focus on, like, birth and pregnancy, and it's like, okay, what happens after the baby gets here?
Right. Because the postpartum depression and all that stuff, that is definitely needed.
And it's like, okay, let's strategize even before the baby gets here. It's like, okay, let's talk about some things. And then once the baby actually comes, it's like, okay, now that the baby's here and you see how this has impacted your life, let's talk about, some strategies and getting some support systems in place, maybe like referrals to different organizations like Mocha Moms and things like that you can have in place to kind of help you, as you adjust and be around
We love
other
Mocha Moms. Kimberly Allers, what is it? Seals Allers. Or Allen Sears. Kimberly. I call her Kim. But anyway, she was on our show last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a wonderful organization. And I met some awesome, beautiful ladies, and all kind of different parenting styles. And I love it, and just being in that positive environment, supportive environment, and just knowing that, there are other people, and we don't have to go through it alone. And I think just having that connection, really helps. And having people that look like you, that understand your situation, maybe some cultural nuances, to be able to go and ask questions too.
That is so important, having somebody that looks like you. Yeah. Now, tell me, if someone wanted to, because what I'm looking to do is actually, I want to have parenting classes. And I want to be a parent, I want to be an educator for those parents that are in jeopardy, which is a lot of us, of getting their children taken by the state. So if somebody wanted to do what you're doing, if somebody wanted to do what you're doing by offering those classes, what steps have you taken to obtain those courses?
Oh, wow. So what you just described, I am not familiar with any certifying organization. That does not mean that somebody can't start one. That does not mean, and see, this goes back to, so being, like you said, Blacks in business, something that we sometimes have to get over, I think, is going to ask anybody permission to do anything.
Right. Just got to do it.
Yeah, it's like, go do it. Like, unless you're going to be operating on somebody, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so you have this idea. You don't need somebody else's permission to really go do that. I would definitely consult an attorney.
Right.
To just get legally, what can people do and things like that. But there's a lot of information around that about, what to do if Child Protective Services comes to your home, what to say, what not to say, and things like that, especially if you know that you absolutely have not done anything wrong. And that was also in the group too. So, one of the moms went through that because somebody reported her actually for having a home birth.
Oh my gosh.
Which also happens. Yes. People get reported for having home births, even though it's not illegal to have a home birth.
No, it's not illegal. It's not illegal.
But sometimes your midwife can get into trouble because certain states only recognize certain kinds of midwives. So there are different kinds of midwives. So that's the other information that I'd like to also give to people about that. And just knowing, but it's still your choice of who to have attending your birth. Right.
Absolutely. It's all about choice. That's wonderful. So back to what you all are doing. I'm excited about that portion of it, and because we always have to be focused on the family, because if we're building up our families, then we can have a better future and better tomorrow for our society. Now, my co-host, Brother Robert, is there. Brother Robert, you've been silent. What is it that you have to add to the pot?
Oh, wow. You all talked about childbirth, and I dozed off. Oh, wow. Yeah, y'all went off the childbirth thing, and I was like, okay, I forgot what we was talking about almost. But, sister, I want to ask you a question in reference to and then another thing happened. Some kind of way my phone was disconnected from the call, so I didn't hear anything about the subject of trademarking. I didn't get.
Okay.
For whatever reason, my phone would not allow me to be online, and I couldn't get anything about the trademarking subject at all. So I don't know what questions were and were not asked, but I don't want you to have to go over the same thing again. So I'm just here.
No worries.
Well, what we will do is, of course, he can go back and listen to it when the show is actually calibrated, and then he can email you. And then we'll kind of go from there. But that's okay if you don't have questions about the business, because that's what she's doing. She's opening the business in childbirth education, and her husband is being very supportive of that. Now, I have a question in that. Is your husband looking to be an educator as well?
No. He's just more or less like, you know, if the men in the room have a question, then he's there to give, like, male perspective, which is very important because sometimes, you know, the partners are left out sometimes. So it's just kind of, and feeling like, you know, sometimes men can feel disconnected from the process. And it's like, okay, well, why am I really here? And I explained to him that really for me personally, he had a really calming effect for me in that moment. Do you know what I mean? It's like he was my anchor.
Right. So you didn't lose it, because people don't realize if you lose it, then I don't think you can get it back. I mean, if you remain calm and you go into it with some education, like, okay, yes, there's going to be some pain. And like for me, for instance, when I was having my last daughter, I mean, I did well. I had 4 children with no medication. But when I was having my last daughter, and I wasn't really having any problems. I mean, I didn't even know really that I was in labor until I went to my checkup and I was dropping the children off at school. My doctor had to check me because, you know, they like to check you like every last few weeks. They have to check you. And it's like, okay, for me, that's so very disturbing.
And do you know this last pregnancy that I had, I did not have any type of vaginal exams.
Are you serious?
None. Not a one.
That is amazing.
Because there was no need for it. And when she explained to me, like, why, she was like, oh, yeah, I don't do those. She's like, you're pregnant. It's uncomfortable. She's like, why? She's like, who wants somebody ramming their hand up your vag while you're pregnant?
No,
She's like, oh, especially in labor.
That's real, especially when you're close to labor. I mean, that causes the labor, actually. But when I was in my last, whatever it was, the doctor checked me, and I had just dropped my children off at school, and he looked at me. He said, are you experiencing any labor pains or what's going on? You know, he was very calm. And I was like, not really. I just kind of last night did a little tossing and turning. And he was like, because you're 6 centimeters dilated right now. And I was like, oh, okay. And he looked at me, he said, look, the hospital is in this parking lot. I know you go to the hospital. I was like, okay. Left his office and went all the way to Seattle, which was an hour away to pick up my children from school, because I was like, they're not going to be stuck at school while I'm having a baby. So I went there to pick up my children. But it's like in that time after he told me that and he did that exam, I developed sort of an anxiety, but I still told myself, because I had a doula, I told myself, do not lose control, because if you lose control, you may not get it back. And so therefore, when we actually got to the hospital and I was walking around and people were asking me, oh, when are you due? And I'm like, now. And that's because I had control. I wasn't screaming and hollering. You did not know that I was in labor because I was calm. There was a woman that was in the next room. She was screaming her head off. And it's funny. 7 years later, we became friends because our daughters were born on the same day. But I said, I heard you in that room screaming. And, you know, long story short, I remained in control, and the baby was born, and that's just the way it ended. But that education that you're going into is so important for women, and we definitely want to help you get to where you need to go. If you need to have a commercial for your business, we definitely want to offer that. And we can talk off air about some other opportunities that we have for your business. But we want people to be able to reach out to you appropriately for what it is that you have going on now. So go ahead and give them that elevator pitch on what they need to know about you all again. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, Focsi, and it is spelled F-O-C-S-I. People call it Focsi, but it's not. It's Focsi. And so we basically are filling a gap because we felt like there were not enough options for home decor and accessories featuring Black people. So we decided to fix that. So we do have a website, which is myfoxy.com. And again, it's FOCSI. And you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram at I Am Foxy, and we're also on Amazon. So, yes.
Wait, spell Foxy, my Foxy one more time?
It's my, and then FOCSI, my Foxy, MyFoCSI.com.
Okay, .com. Okay, we got that. Well, we definitely want to offer you the opportunity to come back at any time, and especially when you get this birthing education going, we want to promote you.
Yes.
Feel free to join our North Carolina group called Blacks in Business, North Carolina.
Okay.
You can advertise there anytime you want, absolutely for free. And we definitely want to encourage our listening audience to reach out to you for their branding questions, for your trademark questions, for anything, logo creation. Reach out to you for childbirth questions because you are an expert. Maybe you don't have the paper yet, but whatever, it don't mean nothing. Like you said, just do it. That's what you have to do. I mean, Robert.
And I have had 3 children at this point, so that counts
there
for
you
something.
Go. The proof is in the pudding. Absolutely.
That's
absolutely. Right. Well, we definitely want to, again, support you in that. So thank you, Miss Erika, and we look forward to talking to you offline because I, again, have some other opportunities for you for promotion. Robert, do you have any last words?
Continue to listen to BIB Radio as we bring you the best information to help you aid and assist you in becoming an entrepreneur or taking your business further as you desire. So, sister, thank you for coming on the show as well. And I do apologize. I really missed the best part of it. I guess I did because my phone was not allowing me to get online with you guys today.
Well, no, it wasn't the best part of it.
If it helps any, I can connect the childbirth education and Foxy business because there was this fabulous painting hanging in the room when I had my son of this beautiful woman with this huge afro, which was one of the first things he saw when he came into this world. So that in itself was empowering and amazing, too. It's like the ancestors were there.
Wonderful. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we will definitely make sure that Robert hears that portion of it. It was all good. There was no really best part. It was all good. And because women are who bring the children into this world, and it is important that they be empowered at all levels. It is important that they know that they have options. And because you are opening a business doing this, we have to make sure that the information is there, okay, because you have the ability to actually teach women, to teach women, to teach other women, to teach other women. So we definitely want to make sure that happens. And we want to talk to you again later on, and we're going to let you continue on in your day, Miss Erika, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks to Godier family. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, well, that was Miss Erika, Foxy Mama, and I was so excited to talk to her because we've been interacting on Facebook for a very long time, but I had no idea that she had all that going on. But, you know, sometimes when we are looking for answers for our radio program, we reach out on Facebook, and she was able to reach out to me, and then I had another person reach out to me concerning our other guest, Ms. Connie Murray. So thank you, Falasha Day, for doing that for me. I appreciate that. You all need to reach out to her if you need tax help. She is a tax expert, my goodness, but she reached out to me so that we could have that information. So, you know, we here empower everybody, our men and our women, not of color, but black people. I'm not going to say of color. I'm talking about black people, and that's what we do. So if we have somebody starting a business, I mean, how can we help them? That's always our goal. So I'm happy to promote Erika and her husband, and I'm happy to promote Miss Connie last week, and also happy to promote Miss Deborah last week. So that's just what we do here on the radio. And if you have people that are starting business, people in business that haven't tuned into our radio program, please do so every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time till 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are Blacks in Business. We are here to support you. Support Black Talk Media Project.org, which is housed on Black Talk Radio Network. where we provide some of the most prolific and interesting programming that there is concerning our people. You'd be surprised at what you would hear on there. Unapologetically Black information, uncensored, and just supported by one of the most wonderful CEOs there is, Mr. Scotty Reed. Okay, so we are coming down to the wire. Do you have any information to share, Mr. Robert, Brother Robert? Mr. Robert, Brother Robert.
Yes, listening audience, please be aware of all the upcoming trade shows for the fashion industry, for the general merchandise industry. We have one, well, we don't have it, but there is one that's coming up for the ASD show in Las Vegas. That is, you can go on Google and Google the exact date. I'm almost sure it's July 31st to August 2nd, but just Google ASD trade show in Las Vegas. Then in the middle of August, you have the Magic Clothing Show. It's the www.magic online clothing show in Las Vegas. That would be towards the middle part of the month, August 18th, if I'm not mistaken on that, through the 21st, but you can Google that as well to be exact. These are shows that you need to attend if you're in the fashion industry or if you're in the general merchandise industry. There are some other shows, the grocery show or the grocery show. You can also Google that show. I think it's the TGA. But that's later on. That's the early part of next year for those who are in convenience stores and grocery stores. So go to our page on Facebook. That is trade shows, or just go to BIB Blacks in Business, and you can see those links to the other pages on Facebook. But you can definitely see also those trade shows that have been uploaded to the page, and you might want to attend one of those shows if you're in one of those industries. Follow us, like us, share us, please. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. Join us each and every week at 7 to 9 Central Standard Time on Thursdays, where we will bring to you the most innovative information on entrepreneurship. But again, we are Blacks in Business, and we are going to take a break here and come back with you within the next couple minutes. So join us again. We are Blacks in Business at gmail.com is where you can reach us. If you have questions about shows, or if you have someone that you want to bring on our show that has a business or is an entrepreneur. All right. So we are Blacks with an S in Business at gmail.com. So thank you again for listening to us, and join us again in the last and final hour. Thank you so much.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. I would like to invite you to join Every.Black, the premier digital marketplace and directory for Black businesses and entrepreneurs. Membership benefits include representation on 12 websites, 12 Facebook pages, and 12 Twitter accounts. Your company will also be featured in the monthly e-letter. Sign up today by typing in Every.Black. Use the discount promotional code SISI. For more information, call 253-343-7284. When it comes to promoting your business, remember Every.Black.
Make Black Talk Radio your choice for digital black radio. New black media for the new millennium. The Black Talk. Good evening. This is Scotty. I'm sorry. Is that CC?
No, this is Erika Parker-Smith.
Okay. Hi, I'm Scotty. I'm the station manager and audio engineer. And actually, I don't see CC on the board. We do have someone from that area. Okay, here's CC now. Okay, CC, your guest is on.
Hello.
Hi, CC.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us today and taking over for me because I am, as we speak right now, on an escalator going through the Minneapolis airport, so it's very loud. So I know that it would be inappropriate to try to conduct a radio show. So I'm going to mute myself out and let you take the reins. Just go ahead and introduce yourself and go for what you know, okay?
Okay. Hello and welcome to Blacks in Business Radio. We are back unapologetically black, and I am Erika Parker-Smith, and I am the guest host for this evening, filling in for Miss SiSi Harry while she travels and continues to be fabulous, spreading that fabulous all across the United States. And we will be speaking with Alexis Carter tonight, who is a certified holistic esthetician and also a doula. So this is going to be absolutely amazing. And for those who don't know, greetings, Scotty.
Greetings to you.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing the best I can.
Okay. So do we have Alexis with us right now?
We have area code 845. Can we have your name? Are you the guest for tonight?
Yes, I am. I'm here. It's peace and love. It's Sista Alexis.
Hello. How are you, Sista Alexis?
I'm divine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I am in the boonies, so sometimes I might not have the best connection, so bear with me. We're going to pray that the planet of communications, Mercury, will work with us tonight.
All right, Ashe. So would you like to introduce people to all of the amazing things that you do and tell us a little bit about yourself this evening?
Sure, yes. First and foremost, I want to give thanks and praise for having me on. It was a pleasure meeting SiSi a few weeks back at the Homeschooling Expo. And so, Sista Alexis, I do a lot of different things because I believe that we need to adjust for the season. So currently I have 6 streams of income, which is accumulated of the Divine and Divinely in Tune brand. So that is Divinely in Tune Doula, Divinely in Tune Spa, Divine Health, Divine Wedding, Divinely in Tune Virtual Assistants, and Divine Notary. And I just basically started these businesses because I saw either a problem or a need for them, and I wanted to be able to create a solution. So that's how all of these businesses came about.
Nice. And you said you have 6 streams of income. So can we touch
Yeah.
on that? Because I often tell people, like, you have more than one bill. So it is very wise to have more than one revenue stream.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how?
Well, I come from – go ahead, sis. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead.
So I come from a family of entrepreneurs. When I was young, my father, who is very much older than my mother, 20-something years, he had a candy store when I was younger. So I was raised in a candy store in Westchester, New York. And then later on in life, my mother was a real estate agent and then went on to have several different businesses. My first job was when I was 13 behind a cash register in the deli that my mother owned. And going on and so forth. At 18, I got my real estate license, and I got my real estate license in my mother's company.
Mm-hmm.
My mother's company, which was a property management company in upstate New York. As I went on in life, I just said, well, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this. And I didn't feel like I needed to not do it. I just felt a deep desire to do it, so I just did it. So anytime I had a vision, I want to create this business, I just started it.
So did anybody ever tell you, okay, no, you're doing too much, you need to just focus and be an expert in one area before you start to add to your business portfolio?
Absolutely, and I just laughed.
Okay.
I laugh because that's not my nature, and although there is some truth about that, what I do is I look at people who are successful, right?
Right.
If we look at anyone who is successful, there are a few that have isolated businesses, but majority of them have what? Several different business projects. But what they do have within those business projects is the ability to delegate, right? So that's really what it's about. You don't have to, you can have these businesses, but you have to have a means of delegation to a team or volunteers or anyone to help you in that supportive area.
This is true, and I often hear, I listen sometimes to Richard Branson's speeches, the owner of Virgin Mobile, and that's what he said about every business he started. He's like, I was not an expert in anything. He was like, but I knew how to bring the right people together in order to build a successful brand and a successful business. Because we often hear that, you know, and I get that a lot, especially from family, like, oh my gosh, what are you doing now? You know, type thing. And I'm just like, but that, like you said, that's not my nature. That's not my nature either, you know. And I'm like, look, we go to school for how many ever years, depending on, you know, the different degrees that people have or different certifications. And I was like, oftentimes the focus is multifaceted, and we're expected to be experts and excel in all of those areas. Absolutely. And I was like, and then all of a sudden you get into adulthood, and it's like, okay, no, pick a lane and stay there. You know, and it's just like, oh, okay, no, we haven't done that so this entire time. So that is amazing that you actually do all of those and that you call them divinely in tuned. That is amazing to tie them all together in that way. So the other question I have for you, I see that you also for your doula certification that you went through Birth Arts International, which coincidentally I am also going through. Actually, I'm enrolled in Birth Arts right now for childbirth education. So absolutely, I love that. Yes, because I love the spirit in which they, you know, that they teach the materials and their philosophy and their way of doing things that I did not really get from the other certifying agencies.
Oh,
so
gotcha,
speaking of that, yes, can you tell us and tell the listening audience, for people who may not know, what is a doula?
Okay, yes, definitely. A doula is a professional trained in childbirth who provides emotional, physical, and educational support to a mother who is expecting or in labor or recently given birth. And really, a doula's purpose is to help women have a safe, memorable, and empowering birth experience.
So now what's the benefit? Why, like, for women that may be new and they're hearing that, or maybe for someone that is on the fence, in making that investment, what are some differences that having a doula during your labor process, and for, new moms postpartum, what are some benefits to that?
Oh, so many different benefits. I can speak for myself in particular. I actually never had a doula or home birth. I heard you guys earlier. And I have 3 children in any of my births, which led me to becoming a doula, because I was like, okay, I'm on my last child. I don't think I'm going to have any more, so I'm going to live through these sisters. And so it led me to become a doula. And I actually, I West African danced, and I was dancing with this sister, and she was a doula, and I would always see her post on social media, and I finally had a conversation with her about becoming a doula, and she was the instructor, so that's how that worked out. And I just thought it was amazing as I researched the different benefits at the beginning of this journey. I just thought, wow, like, you mean if I become a doula, I can help women decrease having pain meds? So because of my support that I give them, that if they don't have a partner, that I can be that partner for them. Or if they have children and want their children to be in the room, if they do have a midwife or, a doctor or anything of that nature, that I could possibly even support their children to be in the birth room with them. And I just thought that was amazing. And I said, I need to be a part of this. And because I am a holistic esthetician and I know different modalities of healing and massage, and people would always say to me when I worked on them, like, you have healing hands. I thought it only made sense to be able to share that. And the other big thing, sis, was for me, I was disappointed that they did not give me any options. Luckily, I was educated when I was having children in terms of having a different birth position. That when you get in the hospital, tell you, you can sit up, or, they tell you that you can walk around, but when it's time to birth, you're on your back, and that's pretty much it. And so I said, I need to become a doula because I need to be able to share this information. And I worked in the childbirth education center where I was an advocate, family health advocate for the community of lower income folks, and I would give breastfeeding support. And I noticed a lot of these women did not know. There was one woman who had 6 or 7 children, and she was like, what do you mean? You can birth sitting up? You can birth squatting?
So let's talk about you amassing that knowledge. So what type of schooling was involved for you to become a doula?
Well, that's what I did. I did it through Birth Arts International. I literally was dancing with this sister every Sunday for years, and she was very quiet. She was an older sister, but she was quiet. She really didn't talk. She would dance, and then she would leave. But then she was very vocal on social media about what she was doing. And then so one time, I just finally said to her, like, oh, you're a doula. Tell me about it. And she told me her journey. She has been a doula for about 35 years or something of that nature. And she told me, look, well, you come for a weekend. It's like 20-something hours. 20-something hours, and then you go on to get certified, and that, could take you up to a year or 2 years. And just go through the process, and you get this huge book, and it's basically after your in-person classes, you have a book that you abide by, and you just go through your courses. You go through your courses, you write your courses out, you hand them in to Birth Arts International. You watch all those videos, you watch animal horses giving birth, and goats and all that. Yeah,
that really sounds similar to the childbirth education piece too. And I know some parts of it are different, like there is some overlap between the two. And it's just I know in knowing who I am as a person that I don't necessarily want to be there when someone is having a baby. I'm a bit squeamish. So it's like, okay, call me before you have the baby, call me after you have the baby, you know, for support. But it's just like, I'm not your girl for that. So I bless all of you who have that drive and that passion and have been, you know, blessed with that mission to support women, because I have loved every doula I have had. They have been absolutely amazing women. So yes, and I definitely, and it's like sometimes I wish I had the experience to be able to speak to not having one, but because I had one with each birth, and I just know for me, I can't imagine not having them there. And this last one with my youngest son, who's 1, I told my doula just a couple of months ago, she started a support group for women of color in our local area. And I went there and I told them, I was like, look, I was like, whatever she did every time I had a contraction was pure magic. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was relieved so much pressure and discomfort from my back. It was absolutely, utterly amazing. So between the birthing tub and whatever she was doing with the acupressure, and amazing, amazing, amazing. So I tell people all the time, yes, it's like I have a doula. The doula is there for you. Everyone else is there for the baby, you know, and mom needs some support and attention also. You know, because your husband or your partner may need to take a break and want to leave the room, go to the bathroom, get something to eat, you know, anything. You know what I mean? Just get some fresh air or whatever, and that person is totally there for you. So that is so important.
So when I got married pretty young. Yeah. I married at 19, so my first child was at 20. I had been with the father from the time I was 16. And I forgot, during that time it was like TLC baby stories. Remember that? It was
Yeah.
I don't watch TV anymore, but around that time it was TLC and there was baby stories, and there was a lot of hypnobirthing happened, hypno babies. So for my first child, that's what I did. I used hypnobirthing. And so basically using your breath, visualizing, having technique. So I remember my first child going into the hospital, and they could not, same with SiSi, I heard her say, they didn't believe I was as far along as I was, because when I would have a contraction, I would just say, can you be quiet for a second? And I would just breathe through it and talk normally right after.
Right.
So, you know, it's just important to have these tools and techniques. You know, for younger, older, it really doesn't matter. But we need to know. We need to know it. We need to know it. Even though our body does naturally know a lot of these things, but when you're in pain, you're in panic almost. So
which works against you, because then your body is releasing adrenaline, which is almost the enemy of, you know, the birthing process. Like, you want to be relaxed. You want, you know, those feel-good hormones, that oxytocin being released, and just really being in control of yourself and in control, because you can't really control the situation, but just submitting to that process is the best way that I can describe it for women. It's just like, you have no control over this. Just give yourself over to it. And just know that it's going to end. Like, you're not going to have contractions for the rest of your life. You know, it's for a finite period of time. And let's just really learn some coping mechanisms and figure out what works for each of us, because we're all different. So, you know, and some people don't like the water, you know, and having water births. Some people, like, the acupuncture may not work. But like you said, the different positions is amazing.
Yeah.
So can we also, like, just give some people, I guess, some background and some tips and talk about, you know, the mortality rates for Black women and how doulas actually help, to reduce those numbers for infant mortality and also maternal mortality.
Absolutely. And in terms of tips and releasing oxytocin, which I love social media because of this, we see so many videos of, women dancing, which helps to release oxytocin. Laughter helps. Hugging, kissing on your mate helps.
Mm-hmm.
So many different things, you can do, taking a walk and calling someone, just loving and trusting on someone. Those all help release oxytocin, which is so important and vital when giving birth. And in terms of decrease in infant mortality, yes, definitely. We have a vital role as doulas in this area. Like, it has decreased over the last some odd years, I guess 10 years in particular, because doulas in the last 10 years they're on the rise right now and have played a key factor. Although I did read some articles just recently that in home births in particular, that the rate, in hospital births in particular, that the rate of infant mortality is increasing. I'm not exactly, I can guesstimate, but I don't want to say why in particular, why I believe that is. But yeah, having a doula, that could definitely support your process in that area.
And what about the mortality rates for mothers? Because we know that Black women, the numbers are very high within our community, especially, with certain kinds of births. Can we speak to that also?
Yeah, it definitely is very high in that particular area, and it's really saddening, actually. And I attribute it to not having the knowledge, but I also attribute it to diet, so I can't just say it's because of the environment. I think a lot of it has to do with the diet and the lifestyle before giving birth. And that's one part of what I do in the Divinely in Tune Doula and Divine Health, is to talk about that, in our community. Like, I just had an article published in the Huffington Post in regards to the soul food diet, Black cemetery diet, because we have to do better in this particular area, because what we put in our body during birth, even before birth, before conception, it will impact your baby.
Right.
So being more conscious-minded in that area and doing better. I know it becomes a habit of having that soul food tradition, but it will be so beneficial to rectify that so we can have healthier births and have moms living to be able to spend time with their children after.
So what if someone is listening right now and you talked about diet? So let's go ahead and talk about soul food. So let's talk about, real soul food versus, our soul food that grandmama used to make, and everybody swears that, she would eat a slab of ribs and everything else, every Friday, and she lived to be 112.
Yeah, that's generally one of the rebuttals that you'll hear very often. So as we know, the meat is completely different. The animals are different now versus when great-grandmother was here.
Right.
With the help of the FDA, they make it very easy to inject the animal, claiming it's for your safety, right? So back then, you didn't have all those chemicals being shot into the animal. Even the condition of the soil was vastly.
Hello? Hold on one second. Is that Ashley? Is that Ashley on?
Hey.
Hi, Ashley. Okay, I'm so sorry. Alexis, I did not mean to cut you off. I heard her saying hello in the background, so I just wanted her to just briefly introduce herself, and then we will continue on with the hormones and the different antibiotics and things getting injected into the meat. So welcome, Ashley. Ashley is also a doula.
I am. Hi, peace to you as well. I can't believe this conversation is happening. It's such an important conversation, and honestly, it's a conversation that, to be completely honest, this is the first time I've seen Black women come together and really discuss it, other than Black Moms Matter. But I've never interacted with them, so like I'm literally over the moon to hear that this conversation is happening. It's like so exciting. Yeah. I called because, in my experience, you know, I hear you guys speaking, and there's just so much truth in your words. And I think, you know, my family is from Jackson, Mississippi, from the Deep South, and there is a reluctance in the Black community of the South to kind of deviate from the path of normalcy. So what I mean by that is like, you know, it's very much so like, do what the doctor tells you. If the doctor says, you know, you have your babies at a hospital because doctors went to school and they know what they're doing, and, you know, we're going to do what the doctor says and we're going to follow it to a T. We're not going to ask any questions because we don't want to make the doctor angry. And that's what they do. So I kind of called to, like, give some resources to mothers who are listening to this and are, like, you know, who want to do their own research and start off with, well, you know, where are we getting these numbers from? Where are we getting these facts from? Because it is out there.
It's important to empower people with the information, and also having, and sometimes we have to remind people that it's okay to advocate for yourself. And it's okay to advocate for the type of care that you want and to speak up. And yeah, it's like you, like the doctor works for you, you know, or, you know, the staff in the hospital, you are hiring these people. So you don't have to limit yourself to those choices. Right.
Yeah. You know, I think we as Black women and just Black communities in general, we get so nervous about health care, you know, like doctor knows best. Don't question him. Don't ask him questions. Just do what he says, especially, you know, places like Jackson, Mississippi, or other kind of like borderline rural areas in the South. You know, people don't feel comfortable really taking ownership and taking, you know, command of their own health care. And it's sad because you're paying these people six figures, you know what I mean? You know, it's like $70,000 to have a baby in this country. So to pay someone and not feel comfortable asking questions about what you're paying for and what they're about to do to your body is like, you know, really disturbing, especially when you know, compound that with the fact that, like, yo, they may kill you. Like, sorry, not sorry. I know that's really disturbing, but, like, you know, when you're 4 times more likely to die in childbirth as a Black woman, like, that's just what it is. They may kill you.
Right. And it's like, let's talk about that, because honestly, we are the first line of defense here. Like, we are all we have. No one is coming to rescue us. No one is coming to save us. It's like, I'm not my sister's keeper. I am my sister. So when we start talking about, like, Black Lives Matter, like, it matters from, like, right now, from the very beginning. So if we don't do those things and advocate, and as Sister Alexis was just speaking on with the food, it's like, you know, let's go back to that also, because as you said, that factors into these mortality rates and things that we have.
Mm-hmm. It's such a hairy and, like, interesting issue. You know, just around 12 o'clock noon, I found out that my uncle is suffering from high blood pressure, and he had a blood clot in his brain that we hope that, you know, glory to be to God, we caught early. He's fine. He went home, but he kept saying he's eating healthy. And really what we found is, like, you know, in Jackson, we don't even really understand what it means. Like, what does healthy mean? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, we don't, you know, we only eat bacon like 5 times a week. We don't eat bacon on Saturday and Sunday. Whoa. You know what I mean? Like, that's not healthy. Like, great job cutting out bacon those other 2 days. But
so Sister Alexis, have you seen that too? in your experience?
Absolutely. Here, I live on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and when I came here, I had the vision of opening a juice bar. I opened a juice bar and vegetarian space along with a thrift store combined, right next to two locations next to each other. And it just didn't work. It did not work because on the Eastern Shore, people want clams. They want crabs. They want deep fried chitlins. This is what they want.
With fat back and hog mugs.
That was my 7th and 8th income, actually. And so what I did was, instead of closing, I exchanged hands to my mother, who is an advocate of this. And, you know, she's like, we're going to die anyway. So it doesn't matter if I have this pork chop at 8 a.m. for breakfast with bacon slabs on it. You know, so
okay, then that's the last. But it's like, okay, but your quality of life while you're here. Yes, we're all going to die anyway, but your quality of life. And I often hear people say, well, all of these, you know, when people get older and they get sick, and it's like, yes, they get sick because it's the compound effects of all the crap you put in your body for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, it catches up with you.
Certainly.
Right. So, you know, I must admit, as a doula, I will service anyone. I know sometimes I've seen videos where they say, well, if your doula, you know, doesn't like that you do X, Y, and Z, then you should get another one. Yeah, I do advise you get another one. I prefer parents who prefer to have a healthier lifestyle and a healthier birth experience. So if you're someone who eats crap, you and I would not be a good fit. Like, I wouldn't be a good fit for you.
So I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm very new to the doula world, and I'm starting to teeter more to like birth assisting with the midwife than doula. And the reason why is because like I'm kind of caught between this rock and a hard place, right? So like as you mentioned, like, you know, we are our sister's keepers, and it's like, how do you find that balance of, you know, being that doula who could be that pivotal person in a Black woman's life who's like, look, you know, I understand that I'm here to talk to you about childbirth, but we're going to talk about diet while I'm here. And then finding that client who it's just like, you know, they already understand about food and understand about, you know, diet and exercise and, you know, blood pressure. Because most of my clients, I'm in the military, I'm stationed in Jacksonville. A lot of the clients in that area who do doulas and stuff like that, they're Jacksonville Jaguar wives. They're, you know, multimillionaire wives. They just don't, they are that middle, you know, young to middle-aged white woman, very good shape, and those issues don't present itself. But when you start looking into the Black community and going kind of like closer to the inner city of Jacksonville, that's when you're going to start finding those morbidities, those, you know, diet issues and exercise issues. So I'm trying to figure out, like...
Sorry, not to cut you off. First of all, and also I want to thank everybody for listening to Blacks in Business Radio on the blacktalkradionetwork.com. But I want to say that a lot of times, like the conversation that we're having, it's amazing to have 3 Black women on the line right now, and also Sister SiSi shared her story with her birth and, you know, being involved in the community as well. We have to change that narrative so that people don't think that, oh, this is just something that crunchy granola, these, you know, a certain class of person does, or that people who advocate for natural birth or home birth or people who have doulas or take childbirth education classes look a certain way or come from a certain group, you know, within the United States. And it's like, no, guess what? Black women do those things too. You know, because that is healthy. And it's better for all of us, like in our recovery, because birth is a lot of hard work, you know, and it takes its toll. And then I see posts where women are like, oh, well, I went out 3 days after I had my baby. And it's like, but why though? You know what I mean? So why do you feel the need that you should be anywhere other than somewhere kicked up with your feet, bonding with your baby? Like, what is the rush?
Yeah.
Where are we going? Yeah. You know, it's like you have a baby on Thursday and you ready to turn up Sunday at the club. And it's like, no, have a seat. And it's okay to sit down. So, and I think really,
you guys are doing so well. This is SiSi. I'm sorry. You guys are doing so well. I just want to congratulate you on the show. I've been listening the whole time, but I'm going to get on my airplane now. And so have a wonderful last half of the hour, and I hope to connect with each and every one of you really soon. Thank you, Ashley, for coming on. Thank you, Sista Alexis, and thank you, Erika, for hosting the show. Okay, you guys just continue on in this important conversation that we need to have about birthing our next generation into the world, okay?
Yeah,
safe travels. Definitely.
Thank you. Safe travels,
SiSi.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
But to answer your question, Ashley, honestly, and it's taken me 7 years. Like, I started on this childbirth education path 7 years ago 7 years ago when I had my oldest child. And it floored me that women, seemingly, especially women who look like us, did not see the importance of this information, did not want the information, did not care, and was like, well, give me the drugs. And I'm like, well, would you give your baby heroin? No? Okay, well, that's what that epidural is. It's the same drugs. Right. One comes with the prescription, one doesn't. So I had to really get to a point where I knew I was ready when I could meet people where they are and plant the seed. Mm-hmm. Plant the seed and keep going.
That's deep.
You know, because we don't want to also turn people off or write them off in this process because we know they're going to need support.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, you know, support them in a way that suits them. And I'm sure that Sister Alexis can touch on that as well.
I agree to that to some aspect. In terms of meeting people where they are, you don't want to turn off. I totally get that. But you also have to protect your energy as well. So I feel like that you give off a lot of energy when you're trying to educate someone who's not willing. Okay? Right. So I would give information and share this information to people who are willing to receive it. If you're not willing to receive it, I'll just, say one or two things and then move on. Maybe that seed will grow later. I've heard that. Like, when people have said, like, oh, what you said to me like 5 years ago, it now makes sense. So I'm grateful for that aspect. So when I also go to areas where I know that I'm going to be accepted, like in my family, being a vegan, I don't talk about food in my family unless someone asks me. And normally they ask me when they're sick. They don't care any other time. But when they're sick, that's when they come to me. So it's like, okay, I was trying to get you before you got sick, but okay, you came now, so I'm with you, and I'll work with you through that process. So saying that to say you also have to be careful of your energy and to protect your energy and not to exude so much energy in an area where it's not
going to be appreciated.
It's not one. Right.
Yeah.
But the other way I found to win family over, in all honesty, and I have fallen off the wagon because we do eat like fish and like chicken around here. And we're actually going back to it because there have been some things that have come up, and we're like, okay, we know that we didn't have these issues when we were vegetarian and vegan, so we are in the process now of going back down that path because we just know we're like, okay, we felt so great and we were so healthy as a family. So, but I found that introducing those things to family as sides, because and I will speak for my own family. We'll go somewhere and there will be a plethora of meat. And I'm like, okay, what are we eating with this? Like, where's everything else? Like, where are the vegetables? Where's some fruits? Some other dark leafy greens, something that don't necessarily have fat back in them. Like, why does everything have to have, we can cook these vegetables and they will still be delicious, I promise you, without adding meat to them. And that's how I've been able to kind of sway people to eat better, is by introducing those things. Or just like cooking stuff and not telling people what's in it. And they say, oh, that was good. Guess what? There was no meat in that.
Nah, my family will watch me enjoy it and not try. Look, because I travel with a kitchen, okay? I travel with my own pot my own food, dry food, because you never know, you know. But, yeah, that's wonderful that your family is open to it.
Yeah. I mean, because they see, I mean, they look at the proof is in the pudding with my children. And it's okay. You see, they might get a cold, you know, and I'll take that.
It don't last long, does it?
So it's just like, there's your proof right there, you know? So, yeah.
All right, ladies, I am like sitting outside of my house talking to you guys. I got to go inside and see if the kids have eaten, and I'm
do you want to drop those resources right now before you go?
Oh, certainly. Okay. All right, so Ina Mae Gaskin is kind of, she's not very well accepted by the Black community because of some really messed up comments that she said, but, you know, her knowledge of the birth community certainly, I mean, she knows birth, and you got to give her that. She knows how to have positive birth experiences.
And they were allowing Black women to come to the farm and train for free for years.
Yeah. Were they really?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
and I found that out from a Black midwife. Yes, ma'am. When that whole thing went down, she was like, hold up. She might have said those, she might have made those comments, but let me tell you what she's done. And she was also trained by Black midwives also.
Oh, the grandmothers?
Yes. So there's some history there. And I think in that moment, it's like, okay, maybe instead of like crucifying her, we should set her down, you know, like pull up a chair to the table and let's have this discussion. Yes. And give those resources that you're about to give, because I truly believe that too. And like she might, okay, I didn't agree with her in that instant, but yes, she does know birth, just like you said.
I totally agree. You know, Ina Mae Gaskin, for anyone who's listening and doesn't know who she's talking about, she's kind of like, in America, she's kind of considered, I guess, like the grandmother of midwifery in a way. She has a farm.
And she brought it back to the mainstream.
She did. Mm-hmm. She did. She's like kind of the star of the like forefront movie Business of Being Born, which, you know, is kind of like the movie that every natural birth advocate will kind of send you to. She's done, I think, probably in her book, she talks about doing about between 1,000 and 2,000 births, but that book was published about 15 years ago. So, she really is the bomb diggity when it comes to this stuff. She knows the woman body inside and out. She knows the birth process inside and out. I would certainly suggest picking up her book and just reading about what birth can be like. It is astounding what you think birth is going to be like. Oh, goodness. It's inside. It's, oh, gosh. I want to say positive birth experiences.
I'll look it up.
Please do not. Yes, look it up really quick. Let's go about it. It's like sitting up there.
She has.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm reading right now.
Guide to Childbirth. Okay.
Guide to Childbirth. Probably it's like 200 pages, and literally like the first 100 pages, 150 pages are stories of women having birth on the farm without epidural, and their positive experiences. You know, they're normal women. It's not like they're any different from you and I, but they decided to approach birth differently, and they had a different experience than what, the hospital or TV or whatever kind of, wherever you get your birth image from. I would definitely start there, and the Business of Being Born. That is what introduced me to the birth experience, to the birth community. I wanted to be an OBGYN pretty much my whole life, and then I watched that film maybe like when I was a sophomore in college about 5 years ago, and that was it. I never wanted to be an OBGYN again. That is pivotal. There's so many out there, and I am blanking on all.
Deep. Oh. That in itself is deep. So, okay, because you said that, and I know you said you have to go inside this conversation. So can you explain for people what was the differentiation for you? Because you said you wanted to be an OBGYN. You read that book, which is from a midwife's perspective. So what there is the difference?
Strap up. I can talk about this all day. Seriously, I went to my first hospital birth. So I met this woman named Emily, and she kind of introduced, I've been birth assisting, and my first 6 births were either birth center or home births. And then I just had my first birth experience in a hospital, and I'm not going to lie, it was pretty traumatizing. This image that we have of birth in a hospital of, okay, go to the hospital and get your epidural. Well, let's break that down, right? What an epidural does is it's a numbing agent, kind of like the same that you get in your cheek when you go to the dentist. So you get your epidural and you can't feel your waist down, which means you're going to kind of like slow down your contractions. So you slow down your contractions, you get your Pitocin. That makes your contractions stronger. You just don't know it because you can't feel anything from your belly button down. So your baby, what ends up happening is you're having these contractions. You can't push because you can't feel your legs. Your baby is getting tired. Next thing you know, your baby's heart rate is slowing down. That's called decelling. And then, emergency C-section. The American C-section rate is 1 in 3 in this country. 1 out of 3 women in this country are going to end up having a C. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, and also people opting to have C-sections and not really understanding, like, what that means when they sign up for that C-section. So, Sister Alexis, do you have, like, an opinion, things to add, resources as we go into this part of the discussion as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say I just came back from Africa. I've been in South Africa and East Africa dealing with pregnant women and women with HIV. And I want to say that not just Black women who don't know the information. A lot of women there as well aren't to it, and they have to deal with hospital circumstances that we deal with. And at the end of the day, it's education. We have to want to know more and want to do better. And I don't necessarily know how. I feel like we're under spell in a sense. Like we're hypnotized. Some of us, those who know and still decide to do the same thing. I honestly feel like the foods are impacting your brain, and you can't think well enough to make the right decision. And I pray and hope. And I can't even just say pray and hope. I know that is changing. It is changing. People are wanting to know more information. You can tell because of the high influx of doulas, and it's why it's happening. It is happening. It's happening. And give thanks and praise to the celebrities like Erika Parker-Smith who are saying, hey, like, this is what doula is, and this is what your birth can look like. Right. Using that platform to help Black people become more knowledgeable in the area. I'm grateful.
Right. And normalizing it and putting a different face on it, a face that people can relate to, which is huge. And I can't remember the woman's, the young lady on Love and Hip Hop recently, I guess because I don't watch the show, but everybody was applauding her for showing her water birth on the show and even bringing that into people's living room and exposing people who might not have even, like, it's like, she did what? And it's like, yes, and I'm one of those people that I feel like water birth is amazing. I would tell anybody, I was like, that is my happy place.
Beautiful.
I love water birth.
Another thing to look into, too, is Monroe. So if you get a chance to see Monroe, she is she's a consultant, a doula, and she's a wellness of information, too. And
what's her first name again? I just heard Monroe. What was her first name?
Sophia.
Okay.
So, SHASIA. On Facebook, it's Emma Monroe.
On Facebook, it's what, Monroe? Because you kind of went in and out a little.
In the boonies.
Yes, I agree. I could talk about this all night, too, because I get fired up about it. Like, I'm so passionate about it. And I know that it's like we can have more positive outcomes and we can have better births, and that this is not just some, like, black girl magic, crunchy granola, you know, oh, there's only, you know, a few of you that can do that. And I hear people often tell me, like, you know, oh, you're so brave that you did that. And I'm like, how?
No.
Huh? You know what I mean? And I was like, honestly, I was like, think you're brave. And I actually told a woman that who told me that she thought that it was so brave of me that I made that choice because, you know, she had an epidural, she had a C-section, all these things. And the whole process just sounded really traumatic to me. And I told her, I was like, you know what? I think you're brave that you endured what you did. And I was like, and I'm happy that, you know, and I'm all for women birthing the way that they want to birth. So whether that is, and if they choose to go to the hospital and have an epidural or elect to have a C-section, I'm more or less an advocate of informed consent. Just understand what you're signing up for when you make those choices.
There's a really important documentary out right now called Death by Delivery. It's a fusion documentary. And it kind of digs into why black women are 4 times more likely to die in childbirth than white women. In New York, it's 12 times more likely. So when you say, like, you know, that's significant. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 12 black girls who die in childbirth for every 1 white woman who dies in childbirth.
In New York.
And it kind of, in New York. Nationally, the average is 4. Which is still like, well, dang, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not a matter of, like, you know, for us, for black women, is it a matter of preference? Yes, every woman should have the option of how she wants to give birth. But for us, because of our death rate, it's kind of a matter of life and death for us. Every black woman needs to, you know, really talk to her OBGYN, like, my life is in your hands, because it truly is. It really is.
Right. And let's not do things that are going to work against birth. Let's do those things that are going to work with birth and work with your body and the birthing process itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to see a lot of those things that are counter birth in hospitals just because doctors, you know, OBGYNs have sky-high malpractice insurance, and they're worried about not getting sued. So, you know, when you get an epidural and you're lying on your back, that's probably one of the worst positions you could be in when you're giving birth. It's counter-gravity. It's, you know, you have no way of stabilizing yourself, defending yourself against those contractions. But it's easy access for them. You know, prop your legs up, easy access. It's easier for them to not get sued. You know what I mean? Right. That's not for you. That's for them. And black women just don't have, you know, if we as black women don't start disseminating this information, how are they going to get it? You know what I mean?
But, you know, that's a really hard pill for people to swallow, to hear that what's being done is not in your best interest. Because people automatically assume, well, why wouldn't it be? Well, they wouldn't do that. And then it's like, you know, and they were like, oh, you know, because you do, and I'm just going to, like, give the pushback that I've heard is, you know, well, stats can mean anything you want them to mean. Anybody can make something look scary with, you know, numbers. And the point of, and I hear this through, you know, you, Sister Ashley, I hear this through Sister Alexis. The goal is really to empower people and not do this in a way that is fear-mongering, and really doing it from a place of love.
Mm-hmm.
And really touching on that and just giving the facts. Like, no, the facts are the facts.
Yeah.
You know, like hospital policy. Like, let's talk about why there was this move to women having home births, because home birth used to be what people did. And then there was a huge shift. You know, when you look at just the history of birth in the United States, and birth not from a natural occurrence, you know, it's like a human event, but birth from a perspective of being a business, you know, and what changed and why there is this schism between OBGYNs and midwives.
Yeah.
You know,
I've always,
really
you know,
having that dialogue.
You know, I approach, someone said, meeting people where they are, and I approach money like this. I approach food. So I don't want to work after 40. When I have kids, I want the options to be able to determine what I do with my time, not money to determine what I do with my time. You're going to get that same pushback, you know, in all aspects. You talk to someone about food and eating healthy, you're going to get, well, da-da-da-da-da. You talk to someone about being financially independent and, you know, how to not have to work, and you're going to get, well, da-da-da-da-da. Look, you know, I'm going to do me. I'm trying to empower you. What you do with this information, you do with this information. Look it up. Don't look it up. Pretend like I never told it to you. Pretend like I didn't exist. That's on you. But the facts are what they are. Black women die every day. You can be one of them. You don't have to be one of them. It is what it is. You know what I mean? My job is to set you up for success out of love. Right. You decide what you do from that point forward. And that's kind of how I've always approached anything. Childbirth, money, diet, everything. You're going to get pushed back just because people have like a schema in their mind, and they're going to march forth. And if you challenge that idea, that ideology, they're going to push back. Period. I'm not going to fight you, bro. That's just that energy. I'm not going to waste my energy. I'm going to tell you, you know, sources. I'm going to tell you where I get this information. Carry on and do great things.
Right. And so with that, Sister Alexis, what do you have as like that you want to leave people with in these last couple of minutes here as we begin to wrap up? And I thank you, ladies, for coming on. This has been a beautiful conversation. And thank you both for sharing, you know, what you all know with the Blacks in Business Radio audience this evening.
Again, well, I give thanks and praise for being on. And you can find me at all of the different places I mentioned: Divine Notary, Divinely In Tune Doula, Divinely In Tune Spa, Divine Health, Divine Weddings, Divinely In Tune Virtual Assistant. Anyone in the Hudson Valley, New York area, August 12th, I will be speaking about being vegan and birthing, how you can have a successful vegan birth experience. Again, that's August 12th in Newburgh, New York. And I just want to say that we definitely are doing better. And I'm grateful for that, and continue to carry on and stay blissful.
Ashe, thank you.
Beautiful.
And also, just in parting, I just want to thank everybody for listening, because this is so important, and this was amazing. And you both are doing amazing work in your respective areas in New York, and also down in Florida, in the Jacksonville, and also in Jackson, Mississippi areas. And I applaud both of you. And so thank you both for sharing your experiences and your knowledge. And Ashley, can you also tell people where they can find you as well?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook at, you can just Google me or Facebook me at Ashley Evans. I'm one of the first people to pop up. Also, if you look at Fruitful Vine Birth Center in Jacksonville, you can find me there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you both, ladies. And again, I am Erika Parker-Smith, and I am founder and co-owner of Focsi, F-O-C-S-I. And you can find me on Facebook at Get Focsi, or on our website at myfoxy.com. Again, that is myfoxy, myfoxy.com. Thank you. And Scotty, do you have anything? Because I know you are back there and you're listening to all of this, so...
No, I don't. It's been a very informative program. I do remember the earlier guest was saying that she had not heard of any conversations about home births or doulas and what have you. So if you keep it locked to Black Talk Radio Network, there have been several conversations about this over the years. So, you know, SiSi is very good at reaching out to various elements in our community that's trying to help.
Awesome. That is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So does anybody have anything they just want to say before we end the show this evening?
Good. Have a blessed night.
And again, thank you both for this. This has been absolutely amazing. We have seen entrepreneurship at its finest this evening. We have talked about birth and empowering the community and all of that, because it's just like it doesn't work without us. Like it's like that is the linchpin. So we must save ourselves. We absolutely have to save ourselves. So because if we don't, nobody else is coming to do it. So I love it. Thank you both.
Your own. Yes, indeed.
Okay, Scotty, I'm going to give it over to you, brother.
All right, well, we will close out the program at this time. Make sure that you check out some of the archives. If you want to share this with others later, the podcast will be posted. It'll be minutes after the program. Just send them the link on blacktalkradionetwork.com. They'll be able to listen. Plus to some of the other past shows. Just look for BIB Radio in the menu on blacktalkradionetwork.com. And I guess we will see you all next week. That will be 7 Central, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Thank you.